Okay, I want us to have this physics lesson. This is a physics lesson for the Form 1s, and it is an introductory lesson in high school. As you can see, this of my book here, it's written Mr. Ongeti, Form 1 Physics Lesson Notes, and it is meant for the Kenya Secondary School. I normally prefer this quote because it's quite encouraging in response to technological advancement that we've been having in our country. It reads, when technology is implemented in the classroom, learning is brought to reality and students are therefore empowered to create their own learning future. Oh, that's me, Mr. Martin. Then the book is all about physics mind is a necessity in technological advancement. Okay, to take you through, we have the introductory to physics, which is the first topic that is normally covered by Form 1s, that is in Term 1 work. So I'll go straight to the first lesson. Okay, the lesson is Introduction to Physics, and there are some of the objectives that are supposed to be achieved at the end of this session. So the first objective is that the learner should be able to state the three branches of science, define the term physics, explain what the study of physics entails and various phenomena which physics explains, and lastly state the importance of studying physics as a subject. Physics, as we all know, that is a science, and therefore it falls under the broader category of science. And remember, science is one of the subjects that is being offered in primary schools, and at the primary level you'll find that it's not it's that broadened, so it has not been specialized as in the secondary level. So at the secondary level you'll find that science has been divided into three areas. So that is biology, physics, and chemistry. So the main objective of this subject is to study and also to try to understand all that is within the universe and also everything that is inside this universe. So the three subjects are very much interrelated because they all have human attempt to explore the universe and its content, and it is through by establishment of facts through observation and also experimentation. The primary school science syllabus covers topics which include matters and its properties, energy, its forms, etc., heat, light, sound, and their corresponding sources, machines and the way they make work easier, balancing and weighing various shapes of objects, electricity and magnetism, and you'll always find that these topics are covered in physics. Okay, then we can look at what the meaning of physics is. So what is physics? So physics is also one of the branches of science that deals with the study of matter and how it relates with energy. So when you look at the statement itself, there we have the study of matter. Therefore, we have to define what is this matter. Okay, matter is everything that we see around us and we interact with each and every time, and at the same time these things have got mass and also occupy some of the space in that they have volume. So in trying to study the universe, you'll find that physicists in most cases endeavor to carry out some experiments. So these experiments are normally being carried within the laboratories, and it is in these laboratories where some quantities are being measured and then collected as data. So such data and observations that are normally made they are normally used to study any logical patterns that can reveal any relationship between the data. And then after that, then we can establish maybe a law later on. But it starts from the hypothesis. Now, before the actual experimentation, there's always a proposition that can be made, which are actually investigated by the what? By the experiment. So at times these propositions may be true or may be correct unless they are investigated. So these propositions are normally called hypotheses. Like for example, there's this myth that if you stand outside when putting on a red cloth and maybe it is raining, then you are likely to be struck by lightning. That is just a myth. Then if we can have it as a hypothesis, we can go ahead and prove it. Okay? But now, when you prove it, you may find that it is not correct. So hypothesis can take any of the route. So the data is taken through the process of analysis and interpretation, and also conclusion are normally being drawn. So the conclusion may or may not concur with the hypothesis earlier stated. In case of any pattern between these quantities, this can be expressed in form of laws, principles, or theory. Now, what is a law? A law is a description of the relationship between quantities that manifest in the recurring pattern of events. Some of the laws we will be looking at include the Hooke's law, the Ohm's law, etc. And therefore, a theory is an explanation of a phenomenon in terms of most basic natural processes and also the relationship. So there are several theories that we are also going to look at. Most of the theoretical framework are normally meant in the syllabus that we will be going through. So theories can be tentative but can also help us to affirm already known laws. And when tested and proved, a theory can therefore become a law. So a theory has survival a longer time and is assumed to possess some measures of truth. So let's look at the summary of these key points and additional informations on what we have just covered. So first, physics is a branch of science, yes? And then we've also said that science is divided into three main branches. So the first one is physics, the second one is chemistry, and then lastly is biology. Then we have definition of physics. So at times you may be asked, what does the study of physics entails? This just simply define physics. Now, physics can be defined as the study of matter and its relation to energy. The study of matter and its relation to energy. So this is whereby you look at matter, and we have also defined matter as anything that occupies space and has got mass. Therefore, we look at the relationship that exists between matter and energy. And then it also involves explaining phenomena. So there are so many phenomena that physics can explain, and some of these phenomena include the following. The first one is the falling of bodies towards the ground. We know that anytime we throw anything upwards, then it's likely to come down back to the earth. As we all know that there's always the existence of the gravitational force of attraction that always pulls objects towards the earth. So that one, through the study of physics, we'll be able to understand why is it that when objects are thrown upward, they normally fall down. Then the next one is rising up of liquids through a drinking straw. So whenever liquids rises up through a drinking straw, especially when one takes a soda, you'll always realize that when you suck the soda using the straw, it normally rises upwards towards your mouth. So through the study of physics, you can therefore be able to understand and also explain what makes this liquid rise up due to some associated forces. Then the third one is seasonal occurrence of tides. At times we normally come across tides occurring in the seas. So this one are also explained in physics. A plastic pen, when rubbed against dry fur or hair, picks small pieces of paper. So this is something that we have been experiencing all through. Even now that you are listening to this, maybe you can try and rub the pen that you have on top of your hair, and then cut small pieces, place them on a table, then try to bring that pen closer to these pieces of papers. You'll realize that they get attracted. Now, through the study of physics, we'll be able to explain that, and we'll be able to understand why is it that these papers are being attracted. Then we have crackling of sound. which is normally heard when a nylon cloth is removed from the body. So there are some clothes which when we remove from our bodies, they normally produce some crackling sound, and at the same time they can even go ahead to produce some sparks at night. So through the study of physics, you'll be able to understand why are these crackling sound produced and why are these sparks being produced. The study of physics entails, we normally have got some ways of studying physics. Okay, so there are so many ways through which physics is studied at the high school level. The first way through which we study physics is by measuring quantities. So we will go to the laboratory and then we measure some quantities, we collect the data, and then these data can therefore be analyzed. Then the next step after the data has been collected, we draw and test some of the hypotheses, and these hypotheses can be tested and proved through experiments, and therefore observation can therefore be made. Now once the observation have been made and the observation corresponds to or what we are looking for, then we can therefore go ahead and establish laws and principles, which is now the last step in the study of physics. Now, as a Form 1, what are some of the importance of studying physics as a subject at the high school level? So there are several importance that can crop in as a result of studying physics as a subject, and it's one of the interesting subjects. So the first point is you will be able to understand some of the wonders of nature. So wonders of nature, these are things that we are just born and then we found them happening. Like for example, when it rains, we normally see lightning. So through the study of physics, you'll be able to know why is it that we normally have lightning when it is raining. You'll be able to understand the eclipse. Under eclipse, we have the solar eclipse, we have the lunar eclipse, we have the annular eclipse. So through the study of physics, you'll also be able to understand the eclipse. Then at times, we normally see rainbow. And at times, we may not explain why is it that this rainbow normally occurs. Through the study of physics, at the Form 3 level, there's always this refraction of light. And through the study of that, you'll be able to explain why we normally have the rainbow being formed and the 7 colors being formed, mirages, and also others. So there are so many things that we can use physics to understand and also to explain them. Now, through the study of physics, there are various forms of energy available in the universe that can be harnessed for the good use of mankind. We normally have got the geothermal energy, we have the hydroelectricity, we have the radio waves, we have the microwaves, we have the fiber optics. These energy are very important, like the hydroelectricity, which is normally used to generate electricity that we use in our homes, that is the AC current. We have the geothermal. These are energy that is tapped from the ground, so as to produce electricity. We have the radio waves. We have the microwaves. The microwaves are used in microwave so as to cook because of the kind of heat that they normally, the amount of energy that they normally produce. We have the fiber optics that are used in communication. So through the study of physics, you'll be able to understand these concepts. Then we have pursuing career related to the subject. In fact, in high school, I've come to realize that it is only this physics subject that has got over 100 careers. There are so many careers through which physics can help you to develop. Then the fourth point, it helps in development of technology. Really, greatly, I can say that physics has really contributed towards the technological advancement. Look at the smartphones that we normally have. Look at the kind of television, the smart televisions that we have. It's as a result of the growth in technology. So through the study of physics, the semiconductors and all that are entailed in physics, then there's that technological advancement. Then lastly, it also helps industrial development of the nation. Through the study of physics, you'll find that most of our industries are able to use machines that fasten the work and also is cost effective as compared to the human labor. So physics has really contributed a lot, and that's why the government is really so much concerned with those who are studying sciences and even mathematics, because these are some of the things that contribute towards the development of the nation. Now, there are some of the other things that physics can explain. For example, when a clean-shaven athlete who is participating in a 100-meter race, you'll find that these people, they normally shave very clean. So the reason why they shave very clean is so as to reduce the friction between the hair and the air itself. Then we have a car race driver moving along a slippery surface in order to cruise safely. So you find that this car moving along a slippery surface uses tires, and these tires are normally made with big treads or chain on the tires. So the reason why this is normally done is to increase the friction so as to make the tire to grip the ground firmly. So in physics, just like all other sciences, there are theories that are verified, findings that are normally given. These findings are normally given in a report, which is a scientific report. So there are some of the components of the scientific report that you're supposed to know. One of them is the title, which is also the heading. We have the aims, objectives, we have hypotheses, we have variables, we have apparatus, we have procedures, we have diagrams, we have observations, we have analysis of the result, interpretations, conclusions, source of errors, evaluations, and improvements. Scientific skills that are learned in schools. So there are some of the scientific skills that we normally learn in our schools, like observation, measuring, when you go to the lab, recording. Once you've recorded, then you have to analyze the data. Therefore, we gain analysis. Then manipulative skills are gained when you are doing the practicals. We have reporting, where you present whatever you have done in the laboratory in form of report. Then you present it. You can present it before the students. You can present it for the teacher to go through it. Then we have the cooperation, where we cooperate together to work together so as to achieve what we want. Then there is that perseverance. Remember, these are science subjects that needs a lot of tolerance and also perseverance. Then we have responsibility. We become very responsible with whatever we are doing. There are also main objectives that a student should learn by studying physics. So there are objectives that you are supposed to know. So the first objective is you should be able to select and use appropriate instrument so as to carry out measurement in physical environment. So we'll go through some of the instruments like the micrometers, the vernier calipers, the meter rule, the tape measure. So it's now upon the students to be able to choose the correct instrument based on what they want to measure. Like for example, if you want to measure the length of a field, you'll go for the surveyor tape measure. If you want to measure the length of your locker, you'll go for a meter rule. So through the study of these physics, then there are these objectives that you should be able to select and use appropriate instrument. Then the next one is use the knowledge acquired so as to discover and explain the order of the physical environment. So the knowledge that you have acquired, you should be able to explain the order of the physical environment that surrounds you. Then use the acquired knowledge in conservation and management of environment. Remember, management of environment is something that raises lots of concern. In fact, it is a global concern. Therefore, the knowledge that you are acquiring should also be helpful, especially when it comes to conservation of the environment. Then the next one is apply the principle of physics and acquired skills to construct appropriate scientific devices from the available resources. So we don't just learn physics and leave it in class. So the knowledge that we acquired, we should be able to construct appropriate scientific devices, apply it somewhere else so as to come up with projects, even to come up with some things that are new and also being creative. Then next one is develop capacity for critical thinking in solving problem in any situation. Also contribute to technological and industrial development of the nation. The next objective is appreciate and explain the role of physics in promoting health in the society. Observe general safety precaution in all aspects of life. Of course, these ones are also included within the laboratory rules. Acquire and demonstrate a sense of honesty and high integrity in all aspects of physics and life in general. This one leads to personal development. Remember, honesty and high integrity is what our country desires. Then acquire positive attitudes toward physics. Yes, positive attitudes is very, very important, and in fact it's greatly affect your performance. You cannot perform in physics if you already have a negative attitude. So the first thing that you need to do is to love the subject and love the teacher of the subject. Then you shall have built your attitude towards the subject. Then acquire adequate knowledge in physics for further education. So we don't just learn physics here in school and leave it here. We can also advance in physics at the university level, where students do other courses like engineering, others pursue Bachelor of Science, and there are also other related trainings through which we can go through once we take physics. Then thus mark the end of our first lesson. Now the assignments are as follows. I want you to write down the following assignments. State the 3 branches of science. Define the term physics. Explain what the study of physics entails and various phenomena which physics explain. And lastly, state the importance of studying physics as a subject. All these assignments that I've given you, we have discussed them through them. So they'll be like guidelines that will enable you to go through what you have learned, and then you can go ahead and answer them. Otherwise, thank you for attending my lesson, and prepare for the next lesson, which is lesson 2 in physics. Thank you. Welcome.